Caution! The AJ and Quill Show contains D&D content and is intended for a D&D audience. And, besides that, they're really weird.
The red-scaled host with fire in his veins, strategic depths where no fear remains. From mighty battles to the cunning foe, roll the dice, let the tactics flow.
So D&D just low-key released a full level 1 to 20 campaign set in the Forgotten Realms, and nobody's talking about it. And here it is. You can find this in the Forgotten Realms Adventures in Faerun book in Chapter 2 about the Dalelands. It may not look like much, but this is DM gold. It describes an overarching story involving an evil god's plot to return to the world. The main plot points that happen during the different tiers of play, and you can use additional adventures in the Forgotten Realms Adventures of Faerun guide to fill in the gaps. And as a side bonus, the creator of the Forgotten Realms, Ed Greenwood, is working with Mythmakers to release a brand new series in 2026 called Realmsbound, starting with a guide to the Dales, and it has a whole bunch of other Dalelands products releases to follow. So here's a Dalelands campaign with more lore on the way, and you can use additional adventures from this same book to fill in the gaps. The DM, you can create a full level 1 to 20 campaign, and it's all right here. Don't believe us? Well, we're going to show you. So, Moander, the god of rot. The background is, for centuries, Moander, the god of rot and corruption, was thought dead. But about 150 years ago, as of 1501 DR, the hero known as Alias accidentally awoke the deity, who then plowed a course of devastation towards the ruins of Myth Draenor. Moander, the god, intended to absorb the uncontrolled magic within the elven city, but Alias and her allies defeated him. So for decades, Moander's stinking corpse rotted in the forest. But a god isn't so easily killed. The god of rot was born again during the Second Sundering. Now, Moander's corrupting presence pervades the Dalelands, particularly in places like the Rotting Gorge in Deepingdale. The hill where his defeated corpse once lay is now empty, but Moander's Road, as it's called, and the woods around it are filled with strange fungi, loathsome oozes, aberrations, plant monsters, and undead. So Moander's goals. His ultimate goal is nothing less than the total corruption of Toril itself. He's the god of rot and corruption, that makes sense. To attain this goal, Moander corrupts the forest of Cormanther and seeks to consume the magic of Myth Draenor, particularly its methyl. Now, during the campaign, you can incorporate monsters that would be appropriate to Moander, like corrupted plants, oozes, aberrations, undead, and black and green dragons. These are all appropriate. You can have the plants and undead look particularly rotted or infested with things like mushrooms and fungus. And that you may wonder why undead are part of Moander's entourage here, but it's because Moander is the god of rot and corruption. They kind of go hand in hand. Rot you usually associate with undead, but Moander's corruption goes beyond that. It corrupts all kind of natural things, including the natural process of death. And in that corruption, it creates undeath, so you have undead. Now the campaign follows a critical role-style level structure through the tiers. Levels 1 to 4 is local problems. Levels 5 to 10 will be the political rise. Levels 11 to 16 is the existential threat. And levels 17 to 20 will cover the final confrontation. Now, as a campaign, there's going to be 2 different story arcs. The first is the Heroes of the Dalelands, where the characters are going to explore the Dales, help Dale folk in need, and ultimately bring peace and prosperity to the Dalelands. That's kind of the subplot. And then the main plot is the Moander arc, where Moander is attempting to return to Toril. The characters are going to attempt to foil his plans and banish Moander from Toril forever. So we're going to start level 1 to 4, local problems. In this tier, characters are going to encounter Moander's subtle corruption throughout the Dales. It's like a slow rot creeping in. Twig blights, needle blights, vine blights, and undead have made the roads and trails around the Dales unsafe. And the party can follow these trails back to a fetid pit of rotting vegetation, home to a gibbering mouther. So we're going to use these additional adventures to fill in those levels, starting right here with the Curse on Humble Hill. Now the situation is, the hamlet of Humble Hill is beset by failing crops, sickly livestock, and illness. The hook is the Church of Chantia has sent a watchful sister of the earth from the seeds of cultivation to assist. She gathers the party and offers them $100 or 100 gold pieces each to find and root out the sickness. So this is going to be the starting adventure. Let's say the characters meet in the Old Skull Inn in Shadowdale, because meeting in a tavern is a classic D&D trope and everybody should get to do it at least once. We're going to say Humble Hill is actually a hamlet near Shadowdale town. The Seeds of Cultivation, if you don't know, are a nomadics order dedicated to Chantia that specifically combat the effects of blights and famine. We can say that Sister Liana is from the House of Plenty. That's a prominent religious site of Chantia in Shadowdale. Now the characters are going to follow this trail, eventually getting to Gaunt's lab. Here it is. Now we're going to make Gaunt, the wizard who's causing the problems here, an unwitting follower of Moander, and a gibbering mouther can be placed inside of his study right here. And you can say that it's been influencing him. You can drop the hint that the fertilizer he's been spreading around is actually made from the rotting earth from Moander's road. It's a subtle way to start introducing Moander. Level 2, the Siege of Shalespire Priory. So the situation is, raiders commanded by a hobgoblin captain, Locke the Breaker, lay siege to the Priory of Shalespire. It's a place of shelter for travelers and pilgrims who are faithful to Lathander. The hook is characters are resting at the Priory as raiders are spotted. The monks and clergy won't survive without the party's help and desperately ask for aid. So your party is now advanced. We're going to say that Shalespire Priory is actually going to be the monastery of the Sun Soul in Tasseldale. This is a good chance for characters to start making allies, and the Church of Lathander is kind of a big deal in the area and throughout the adventure. Sun Soul worship Lathander, Soon, and Saloon. Starting in Shadowdale, the characters might have been approached by someone from the Morning Dawn Hall, which is a temple of Lathander, from Shadowdale. Having completed that, they now advance to the Tomb of Damara. Now the characters have proven themselves, so level 3, they've picked their subclasses, and Lady Solwood entrusts them with a new mission. So Lady Cara Solwood is actually the human ruler of Shadowdale. She has a companion, Therinil. It's her bodyguard, essentially, and he's been with her his whole life. The situation is, the spirit of the ogre warlord, Bone Gnasher, grows restless and seeks Damara's fabled orb. Now, Lady Cara Solwood calls the characters to Shadowdale town and asks them to enter the Tomb of Damara and destroy Bone Gnasher, who has returned from death. Bone Gnasher has corrupted a Dalefolk family, the Silver Stars, but Solwood doesn't know why. Solwood offers to pay each character 100 gold pieces and suggests the tomb might have other plunder that they could have. So there's lots of lore here. Bone Gnasher is actually from the intro to Advanced Dungeons & Dragons adventure called the Tomb of Damara, and they used updated maps from that adventure inside this one, so it's actually kind of cool. In it, they're after an orb of dragon kind. Here it's been replaced with an orb of Damara. And that orb is actually a pretty powerful little artifact the characters can get early on. The spirit of Bone Gnasher has returned as a specter due to Moander's corrupting influence. Moander is the god of rot and corruption. It's an unnatural, accelerated rot, and it corrupts the natural process of death, twisting it into a corrupted form of undeath. That's why he's back. If the characters want to destroy the orb, Lady Solwood might be able to help them figure out how to do that. Fury Grove, level 3. The situation is, in Laughing Hollow, a fey-touched valley in the Savage Frontier just east of Daggerford, demonic fungus has invaded a sacred grove. This feels like an appropriate adventure, and we can add this into the Dalelands. So, a demonic fungus has invaded the sacred grove, and a druid usually comes to bless that place, but no druid has come, and the local mayor turns to the party. So we can say the druid is a druid of Chantia from the Abbey of the Golden Sheaf in Mistledale. They visit a grove north of Shadowdale to bless it, but they haven't come, and the grove has become infested with fungus and corruption due to Moander's influence. The request could come from Lady Cara Solwood. Maybe it's a request from the Abbot of the House of Plenty in Shadowdale. Level 3, the Tenebrous Stone. Tenebrous? The Tenebrous Stone. The situation is a cult devoted to Orcus has hidden demonic stone in the basalt quarry in the village of Helmsdale in Damara. The stone gives off waves of magical fear and despair, overwhelming the workers and transforming them into undead. A monk of the Yellow Rose Monastery, Brother Trasig, investigated the quarry but has never returned. The hook is Helmsdale elders, distraught over his disappearance, offer 300 gold piece for the characters to investigate the quarry and learn his fate. Okay, so in this adventure, we can change the cult of Orcus to the cult of Moander. They still have an orb that's giving off waves of magical fear and despair, but we can say it's magical corruption. That's what brought the undead back. Now, I know Helmsdale sounds like it's in the Dales, but it's really not. So, you can use a Monk of the Yellow Rose. They're pretty cool, and Demera isn't really all that far, but you could also just change it to a Sun Soul Monk, since the players already have a relationship started with that monastery. Level 4, Disinterred Danger. The situation is, after a battle long ago, Harpers sealed cursed magic items in a false tomb. The Zentrum have found that site's location. The hook is, a Wood Elf Harper scout tried to defend the tomb but had to flee. Exhausted and due to report to her leaders, she asked the characters to go to the tomb and bring back the cursed items. Now, the cursed items in this adventure could be from Moander, and perhaps they were locked away by Aelise herself, who knows. The Zentrum is planning on selling those magic items back to the cult of Moander, and it's here that your party can get some more information on Moander and what happened before. And they might get clues to other powerful magic items, like the Blade of Lathander, the Blood of Lathander, which is actually from the Dalelands, not just Baldur's Gate 3, and it presents the Harpers as potential allies. Also level 4, the Lost Dawn. Situation is, in the woods outside the village of Feather Falls, a night hag named Mother Gloam has trapped a fragment of Lathander's power within a stone obelisk. The village is surrounded by an unnatural gloom. Crops are failing, and despair hangs over all the people. The hook is, Dawnbringer Fenna, a priest acolyte and human devotee of Lathander, has received a vision directing her to this hidden grove. She offers 300 gold pieces to the party, willing to secure the site and bring back the sun. So no notes, Feather Fall is already in the Dales, and it's a good Dalelands reputation kind of adventure. As the characters level up, you might consider letting that Imperia Iota that eventually becomes a gem of brightness at the end of this adventure, to maybe change their form later on to accommodate the characters. Maybe the Iota instead becomes a Sunblade that is also sentient. Now, this is a great little adventure because that Iota is a sentient magic item, and it can be used as a Dungeon Master tool to provide guidance or direction if the characters kind of get lost or they need to know what to do. It's always fun to put these kind of things in there just as kind of a safeguard as a Dungeon Master, so you have a way to get your characters to go where they need to be. And with that done, this kind of ends the local problems tier of the adventures. Next will be levels 5 to 10, the political rise. In this tier, the party is going to gain a bastion and will be tasked with investigating the Citadel of Fungi. It's a place where shambling molds and tree blights prey on anything that comes even close. An aberrant cultist rules the Citadel, protected by a violet fungus necrohulk. So level 5 is going to start right with restoring Freedale. The situation is, the characters are asked to reinvigorate the fated settlement of Freedale, but they'll have to defend it from enemies. The hook is, the Dalelands Council summons the characters and asks them to become the new leaders of this settlement. Now, here they gain a bastion. Freedale was part of the introduction to Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, and there's some good lore about it, and the place has been updated in this book. Now, the enemies that they fight inside Freedale can go up to CR8, like the Death Cultist or the Vampire Nightbringer outside town on Harrow Hill. Now, this can be an ongoing adventure through this whole tier as they eventually clear out the area. There's also a Temple of Lathander that they can reinvigorate. You see how Lathander's kind of a big deal in this area. Tears Fall. The situation is, stars fall from the sky east of Waterdeep. Clergy in Waterdeep's House of the Moon divine that the meteors are rare fragments from the Tears of Saloon. The hook is, a priest of Saloon from the House of the Moon calls the adventurers to recover the fallen tears. She's offering 500 gold pieces for each tear they find. She gives the group a map of the area where the tears fell. So you can change the location of this to either the dancing place in Highdale, or even to have it be the monastery of the Sun Soul, because they worship Lathander, Soon, and Saloon. They might be the ones sending them out on this. The dancing place is a pilgrimage site where a bunch of gods manifested a long time ago, and clerics of Myliki, Mistra, Ogama, and Saloon, Sylvanas, all maintain the area, which is basically giant gardens right now. There are 3 tear fragments or meteors for them to give back to the church, and you could use this as a plot device for later on when they're eventually fighting Moander. Perhaps the priests were able to turn those tears into some kind of weapon that would be able to hit Moander, like a bomb or something. Be creative. It's something you can bring back later. The Well of Lies. So this is a key adventure. We're going to use this to represent the Citadel of Fungi. The situation is, the Spellblague caused a ruined tower near Secomber, once used for the initiation of wizards, to invert. Now cultists devoted to Cyric have settled there, bringing monsters and evil magic. A ranger from the Order of Shooting Stars, which is a Mistra order, named Caradan, investigated, but a Mystaran priest contacts the characters and asks them to meet her at a bar in Secomber. Caradan warned her of the inverted tower and told her its location, but she hasn't heard from him since. She wants the party to investigate. So this is a key adventure. Have the priest of Mistra, or any other applicable god really, meet the characters in Freedale. At the end of the tower, you can replace Narcel, the chaotic evil mage, and his nightmare companion, with the aberrant cultist and the violet fungus Necrohulk. Both are devoted to Moander. Now for a location, we're going to place the Citadel of Fungi inside Mythdraenor in a place called the Glim Gardens. This introduces Moander and Mythdraenor and the players, if the players haven't already started putting them together. The Temple of Transmutation, level 7. Now this is a Dalelands adventure, so we don't have to change too much. Leitha Salan, a Shadowvar survivor from the crash of a Shadowvar city that has a complicated name, entered the Temple of Transmutation, an ancient magical research institute in Mythdraenor. Using a transmutation chamber in the temple, she's transforming people and animals into monsters under her command. Now the hook is monster attacks on the edge of Cormanther, which is the big forest in the area, suddenly increase. Foresters report the creatures are coming from a large ruin just inside the walls of Mythdraenor. The leaders of the local Dale, and perhaps the Dale's council, ask the characters to find out what's going on to stop the monster attacks. Now, this is a Daleland adventure, so you don't have to change the area, but this adventure can be done in conjunction with the Citadel of Fungi adventure that we just covered. It's kind of like a main plot and a subplot when they go to this area of Mythdraenor. They can get them all done at once. And this is a great time to get a bunch of lore about Mythdraenor, Mythos, Moander, and what happened before, because it's readily available. Level 8, Moving Mountains. This is the first of the high magic adventures. The situation is the High Moor geomancers predict that a volcano will erupt in a matter of days, and the only way to save it, the nearby communities, is a powerful high magic spell that moves the mountain to a remote location. It's essentially a banishing spell. The hook is, a powerful geomancer teaches the high magic ritual to the characters, and they ask the characters to collect the necessary components to perform the ritual to transport the mountain. So you can change the location of this volcano into the Stormhorns so that it's threatening the city of Suzail in Cormyr. Queen Rhaedra's geomancers are the ones who predicted the volcano will erupt. Now the high magic is fundamentally a banishing spell. It can be used This is a cool adventure because they can use this high magic adventure later on to help craft their own high magic spell, eventually to banish Moander at the end of the campaign. It also introduces Cormyr and the Purple Dragons as allies in the potential allies in the future fight against Moander. It's also interesting, if you have any Purple Dragon Knight characters, they get to go help their own city. Also at level 8, another high magic adventure, the Summer Light Ceremony. Now we're going to change this around quite a bit because it's set in Icewind Dale. But the point is, a young wizard named Pavari Bellandros devised a ritual to keep the summer's warmth even in the heart of winter. Right? The hook is she needs the characters to get a special reagent. It's luminous bark from a yew tree harvested with a burning sickle. Now we're going to change the location of this from Icewind Dale to Freedale. We're going to say that the wizard has a spell of banishing corruption, and we're going to say the wizard instead crafted a spell of preserving pureness and banishing corruption around Freedale to protect the town and to create a kind of mythal for the character's bastion. We're going to say the Azure is in the Spiderhaunt Woods, and the Drow, as are the Drow that they're going to be fighting. Perhaps the same Drow they encounter later on during the Silk and Suffering adventure, but we're going to get to that in a bit. Now this mythal, this pureness mythal that they're going to be creating around their own bastion of Freedale, could later be used to repel the Bone Titan, preventing it from entering the actual town of Freedale and damaging the buildings, the people. Now this can later be used. The mythal created by this could later be used to also repel the Bone Titan that's going to attack Freedale later on in the campaign. The purifying mythal prevents it from actually entering the town, and it lets the players fight it on the outskirts of town outside the mythal without actually damaging the buildings or the people inside Freedale itself. And this high magic, since it's fundamentally a purifying spell, it could be used later on to also help craft a new spell, a new high magic spell to get rid of Moander from the face of Toril. Level 8. Now this is going to be a key adventure, the Vault of Vasharoon. The situation is, Red Wizards have discovered the lost vault dedicated to a demigod Valsharoon, the patron of liches, and others who seek on death. The vault lies hidden beneath an ancient burial ground. Now the hook is, the honored sage Varellus, a respected Red Wizard, offers the party the honor of plundering the vault on his behalf, and bringing any arcane lore back to him. But he warns that others also seek the vault, so speed is of the essence. Now this is a key adventure. We're going to say that the vault is somewhere in the Dalelands, like the Barrow Fields in Mistledale, where they have a bunch of undead already. Now this also introduces the Red Wizards potentially as an ally for later on in the adventure when they're collecting allies to fight Moander. The last party the Red Wizard hired to plunder the vault, and the ones that he just warned you about, are actually cultists of Moander who are looking for weapons and magic items to use. Inside the vault, we're going to say they found the plans for the Bone Titan, and the players are going to find part of those plans. They're not really going to know what it is, but it's alluding to what's happening later. Now, some important additions. At the end of this, they find a Tomb of Clear Thought. We're going to also say that with it, they find a Tomb of the Stilled Tongue. This is a magic item related to Vecna, who is a lich. Vecna hates Moander because liches are trying to preserve their life. Moander tends to rot things and end that. The point is, you can use that tomb as another DM tool to help guide the characters. Vecna is known to leave cryptic messages in the margins and in the front of the book. Those could be what guide the characters if they get lost or they need some guidance. The other change we're going to make is this puzzle sphere. Instead of leading to a portal to Mungoth in the lair of Gienna, we're going to say this puzzle sphere is actually hiding in a sphere of annihilation. Now this is going to be a key magic item the characters can use later when they're battling Moander's avatar. But they don't know that yet. Level 9, Echoes of the Shaking Plague. The situation is an outbreak of shaking plague is spreading on the docks in the slums of Scardale Town. That's in the Dalelands. An aspiring drug lord, Damon Komar, accidentally reawakened the plague while conducting alchemical experiments. The local healer, Kestra Alara, pleads with the characters to meet with the town's 3 criminal syndicates and enlist their help to locate the source of the plague, and she's offering 5,000 gold pieces to do that. So no notes, this is in the Dalelands. It's a great way to gain some allies. And the idea of a plague being reintroduced into a city is kind of fitting with the whole Moander theme. Level 10, the Ashen Faithful. A group of Bay Knights called the Ashen Faithful have seized the gladiatorial arena in Hillsfar to conduct public trials, executing those they deem unworthy. Many innocents have been caught in this crisis. Hillsfar senators summon the characters and ask them to infiltrate the area and disrupt the upcoming execution of one of their own, Cancel Morella. So, no notes, Hillsfar is actually pretty close to the Dalelands. You could say that it's actually the Dalelands representative from the Dales Council, or someone from Freedale is one of the innocents that you're going to save. And it has a gladiatorial arena, so who doesn't love that? Also level 10, Silk and Suffering. The Silken Stewards, a sect of fanatical Loth worshippers, is kidnapping key figures from Neverwinter for ritual sacrifice as part of a broader campaign to destabilize the city. The Lord Protector summons the characters to stop it and offers to pay them $8 grand. Okay, so the summary here is Drow fanatics called the Silken Stewards are kidnapping people to destabilize the area. The characters are hired to stop them. So we're going to say the Drow are in the Spider Hunt Woods. These could be the same Drow that they encountered before. And we're going to change it so that the Drow are kidnapping key Dalelands figures to try to locate something called the Sword of the Dales. Now, why would they do that? It's because Lolth hates Moander, and there's a ton of lore on this. And the Drow want to use the Sword of the Dales to fight Moander, and they believe it's in the Temple of Gothel. It's not. It used to be. It could be if you want it to be there, but we have a better idea. Either way, they're looking in the wrong place. In this adventure, you can also drop clues about the Sword of the Dales. The Sword of the Dales is a cultural artifact and symbol. It could be used to unite the Dales at the end of the adventure under one banner to fight Moander together. The party can find clues to its actual location, which we're going to place in Anakar's Manor in Battledale, and we'll get to that later. But it's going to be really cool. After this, the characters advance to the very next tier of play. They should by now be aware of Moander's plots to somehow come back. They know that they have to stop the god, and they need to find the source of his corruption inside the Dales. So, level 11 to 16, the existential threat. In this tier, the characters will be asked to descend into the Rotting Gorge, which is here. Oh, actually, it's not, because it's really here. They put it in the wrong place on the new maps. This is the real location of where the Rotting Gorge would be. The Rotting Gorge is a vast underground maze of slimy, mushroom-covered caverns. It's home to spores of Moander, a Gilthius blight, and an adult green dragon, and a death tyrant. Now, this death tyrant has been reanimated by Moander's evil magic, and there's actually a bunch of lore between Beholders and Moander hating each other because of this. And this particular death tyrant hates its own existence, and with its dying breath after the characters defeat it, it states that Moander seeks to return in a form so hungry and destructive that no one can stand against it. This is going to be a great tier of adventure. So level 11, the Flying Fortress. Cultists of the Dragon have taken control of a cloud giant. The Flying Fortress, level 11. Situation is Cultists of the Dragon have taken control of a cloud giant's flying castle. The hook is the Queen of Cormyr asks the characters to lead an attack on this flying menace and offers wyvern mounts to those who need one. So this is a callback. You already helped Queen Raedra before when you moved the mountain. She's calling them again because she now trusts them. This is a way to get more reputation with Cormyr and the Purple Dragon Knights and the Queen. So this is for gaining allies, specifically the Queen of Cormyr and the Purple Dragon Knights. The Cult of the Dragon and the Cult of Moander in this adventure could temporarily be working together, although they're going to act like Romulans from Star Trek, where each one's trying to backstab and manipulate the other. Queen Raedra Obaskar takes an interest in Freedale after they complete this adventure, and pledges her aid to the characters. She might even send a detachment of Purple Dragon Knights to be stationed in Freedale. And in game terms, I'd also let the party get an Amethyst Dragon Den into their bastion for free as a gift from the Queen. Level 11, the Foehammer Horn. Now the situation is, the Foehammer Horn, a relic of Tempest, has surfaced in the Fields of the Dead. Tempest has sent visions of the relic to various individuals, prompting them to race to the site and to claim the horn. The hook is any character who reveres Tempest dreams of taking up the Foehammer Horn, waking with clear knowledge of the relic's location. Now this is a quest to get a powerful magic item to help them fight Moander. It's going to be a bronze horn in Valhalla, and it's at the end of the adventure. Now, they could be directed here by the head of the Abbey of the Sword if nobody in the party specifically worships Tempest. That's a temple dedicated to Tempest in Battledale. Inside this adventure, I would also let the characters find a talisman of the sphere. This is going to be a way to help them control the sphere of annihilation we alluded to earlier that they can use to fight Moander's avatar. So, note, Wolfgar, the Dritz novels, worship Tempest. It was actually his command word to return his magical hammer Agus Fang to his hand. And hopefully at the end of this, the characters will have a nice, powerful magic item to start beefing themselves up for the eventual fight with Moander. Mystery of Myth Radarnum. The situation is miners have unearthed the ruins of Myth Radarnum, an ancient elven settlement deep under the village of Snowmantle in Daggerdale. Now that's in the Dales. You could also relocate it to any other settlement of your choice, maybe even Freedale itself. Now among the ruins is a circle of power connected to a now dormant mythal. If reactivated, the mythal could protect the village with powerful magic. Now you could use this in conjunction with the other high magic to further protect Freedale, or it could be its own thing in Snowmantle. The hook is a guardian Nanga, named a very complicated name, finds the characters and asks them to uncover the secrets of the mythal in Myth Radarnum's ruins. Now if anybody in your party has the Mythal Keeper background, this is a really cool adventure for them. Now you could also use this in conjunction with... Now this is an adventure so the characters can learn more about mythals and what to do with them. It could be used in conjunction with other high magic for the end of the campaign, as the party has learned to craft their own high magic spells to banish Moander. Now this could be used in conjunction with other high magic the party has learned to craft their own high magic spell to eventually banish Moander's avatar at the end of the campaign. And during this adventure you can give clues about Mythals, Moander, and Myth Draenor, all to help guide the party along the adventure. Level 13, Dread March of the Bone Titan. A massive walking necropolis called the Bone Titan has emerged. The situation is, a massive walking necropolis called the Bone Titan has emerged from the Trollmoors, created by an enterprising archmage named Kristik the Profane. This gargantuan titan of crypt stone, bone, and corpses marches inexorably towards the town of Tribor. The hook is Knights of the Eternal Order, which is an order dedicated to Kelemvor, call on the party to infiltrate the Bone Titan and destroy whatever controls it, while the Knights attempt to slow it down. The Knights pledge a reward of 25,000 gold pieces for helping. Now, in this adventure, we're going to change the location to the Bone Titan attacking Freedale. It's the character's bastion, and they have a lot of investment in this, and it's going to make them it's going to strike some emotional chords when they go to fight this thing. Now, if the high magic of the Summerlight ceremony and the Mystery of Radarnum were successful, we're going to say that it creates a small mythal, and the Titan can't actually enter the town of Freedale. It repels it back. Now, this Bone Titan, we alluded to it back in the Vault of Valshrun, and it can also be hinted at from the Tomb of the Still Tongue. Cryptically, of course, because Vecna never tells you anything straight. It also introduces the Knights of the Eternal Order, who are dedicated to Kelemvor, as potential allies in the fight against Moander. Note, the characters are meant to go inside the Walking Titan and destroy it. If your players are like mine and they decide they want to fight it from the outside, you could use the stats from the Colossus from the Monster Manual. Now, the characters aren't really meant to defeat it. Now, the characters aren't meant to defeat it straight up. Ugh. Now, the characters aren't meant to defeat the Bone Titan by straight up attacking it. The futility of this fighting would become pretty obvious with a CR25 creature at this level, and it should really... The futility of fighting a CR25 creature at their current level should drive that point home. Just try not to kill them, and hint that the characters should be climbing inside this thing to take it out from the inside, as they have like the whole inside of this thing mapped out anyway. Level 13, the Heart of Fear. Chalsember's Heart, a sentient holy avenger greatsword sacred to Torm, has been located in the hoard of some adult red dragon, a worshipper of Tiamat. Cran, as the dragon is called because it's easier to say, lairs near Ompor. Complicating matters, the dragon wears an amulet of proof against detection and location, and her lair is protected by a forbidden spell. Okay, all very cool. Basically, it's another magic item quest to go get a powerful magic item to fight Moander. Now, you can swap this magic item with any other potential powerful magic item you could think of. So instead of a Holy Avenger sword dedicated to Torm, it could be like the Sword of Lathander or the Blood of Lathander. It could be a Staff of the Magi. It could even be the Axe of Heavenly Fire, which is a Holy Avenger Great Axe located in Tasseldale. There's lots of options, but there's lots of options for magic items they could gain, and this is a good blueprint for that kind of an adventure. Now, levels 14 to 16 are going to be a little subsection we're going to call the Rotting Gorge. In this tier, the players must now enter the Rotting Gorge. Through the course of these adventures, you're going to have had the characters learn that an aspect of Moander's divine essence was locked within the heart of a great oak. The party is led to believe that this is the source of Moander's corruption, and the party must destroy it to end Moander's campaign against the Dales. Now, this is your chance as a DM to craft a dungeon with 3 big bosses in it. Remember the tier description. Coincidentally, the CR for the creatures that are listed in the tier description match levels 14, 15, and 16. So it kind of works out great. Inside the Rotting Gorge, the characters will have to enter. They'll first encounter a Death Tyrant. This is the one that hates its own existence because Beholders and Moander hate each other. With its dying breath, it warns the characters that Moander seeks to return to a form so hungry and destructive that no one could stand against it, further prompting the characters to destroy the Gilthiest Blight tree at the end of the dungeon to stop Moander. The next big boss they're going to fight will be an adult green dragon at CR 15. Now, you could use an adult black dragon instead, but that'll be CR 14. Both will be applicable, and we've since named this dragon Verdigris. After defeating the dragon, which would be the Gilthiest Blight's protector, the characters can now fight the Gilthiest Blight, a CR 16 monster. We're going to call it the Final Seal. The characters fight and destroy the tree, believing that they destroyed Moander's essence, when the reality is they actually released that piece of Moander's trapped divinity that was locked within it. Here's the twist.
I said, hold up, wait a minute, something ain't right.
After defeating the Gilthiest Blight tree and releasing the piece of Moander's locked away divinity, the cult of Moander reveals itself and tells the characters that they have been manipulating them this whole time to destroy that tree. They needed it destroyed so they could release that piece of Moander's divinity locked within, which is all they needed to bring Moander back. They're going to use a Scroll of Titan Summoning, and that released piece of Moander's essence was necessary. And that mega dungeon will cover your levels 14, 15, and 16, where the characters eventually learn of the twist. They are now into the final end of the campaign, levels 17 to 20. Moander manifests as a blob of annihilation, levels 17 to 20. Moander manifests as a blob of annihilation, which is really cool, to enter Mythdraenor and feed on the ancient magic of that broken city, becoming even more powerful. Powerful enough to corrupt Toril itself. Now, the characters are going to have 3 things they need to do over the next few levels. 1, at level 17, they're going to need to unite the Dales. This is going to be the Sword of the Dales adventure. The characters can use the Sword of the Dales if they find it to help unite the Dales under one banner to fight Moander. The sword is a powerful magic weapon, but it's also an icon representing unity in strength in the Dalelands. Wielding the sword grants instant recognition and immense authority amongst any Dale folk, much like the legendary sword Excalibur for the Britons. Now, where's the sword? It's wherever you really want. Now, where is the sword exactly? Well, you're the DM, it's wherever you want. But here's where we think it should be. In Anakar's Manor. It's guarded by the restless corpse of Anakar himself. That's Anakar Burlesk, who's now Death Knight. Which is perfect because Death Knights are level 17. So, or we think it should be. Anakar's Manor, guarded by the restless corpse of Anakar Burlesk, who is now a Death Knight, which is perfect because Death Knights are CR 17, which is what the character is going to be at, which is the level a character should be by now. Now, Anakar was once briefly the king of the Dales in 1038 DR. He wore a red hood and a mask to hide the ravages of a rotting disease that he got from a wizard, and he earned the title the Mantled King. In 1044, he was slain by a Dracolich during a feast that he was tricked into going to. The Dracolich was eventually slain by Anakar's lieutenants, and then they burned down his house with his corpse inside of it, and it turned him into a Death Knight. Now Anakar haunts his manor, unbeknownst to but a select few. He also guards the Sword of the Dales. He awaits for somebody worthy who wishes to unite the Dales for the cause of good to come try to claim the weapon. If they can defeat Anakar in combat, he will give them the sword. Now, as a side note, this is what he's going to do to redeem himself. Once he has done this, he is redeemed and no longer cursed into undeath as a Death Knight, and his soul is released. Now on top of that, the characters must also call on any of the allies they've now made along. Now that they have the sword and can unite the Dales, the characters must also call on the allies they've made along the way, like the Purple Dragon Knights, the Red Wizards, and the Church of Lathander. And the characters must also have a plan to defeat Moander, which would entail a high magic spell, the Sphere of Annihilation, and powerful magic items to do it. This is a great role-playing opportunity, and it really lets the characters stretch their creative muscles. And should take pretty much all of level 17. At level 18, the characters now have to get to Myth Draenor. Maybe they rebuild the Dome Titan. How they do that is really up to them. They could fly there on purple dragons provided by the Queen. Maybe they rebuild the Bone Titan and march it straight to Myth Draenor. The options are endless, but make it a fun adventure getting to Myth Draenor. Once in Myth Draenor, the characters should be level 19 or even 20. They are now going to fight the Blob of Alienation. Once the characters have reached Myth Draenor, Once the characters have reached Myth Draenor, they must now get to the Blob of Annihilation. They have to fight their way through Myth Draenor, getting to the Blob. And the characters must defeat the Blob. Now, the Sword of the Dales, we're going to say, is a Vorpal weapon, and thus would ignore the Blob's natural resistance to slashing damage. The Sphere of Annihilation can be used to damage the Blob, as well as any other things the characters can come up with. The point is, once the Blob has been reduced to 0 hit points, and this should be an epic fight, we're going to say that the Sphere of Annihilation that the characters hopefully remember to bring with them prevents the astral implosion ability of the Blob so that Moander can't reconstitute itself somewhere back in the material plane. Now, the characters are going to have to have... The characters would have also had to have come up with some kind of high magic spell to be able to banish Moander permanently, because he's a god. The characters could use the knowledge they gained in Mithradarnum and in crafting their own high magic spells in Moving the Mountains as a banishing spell. Characters can use the knowledge they gained in Mithradarnum to craft a high magic spell to banish Moander, combining elements from the Moving Mountains banishing spell and the Summerlight Ceremony purifying spell. Once the high magic ritual is complete, Moander is banished into the Sphere of Annihilation, and then both vanish off into the Astral Sea. Congrats! You just saved Faerun, and the world will know your names.
In Edges crumble when we cast force. Spells erupt with their blazing course. Mind your saving, throw your ACs tight. In this lair we own the fight. In the shadow of flame's domain, we bend the rules, we break the chain. Critical strikes with a fiery roar. Level up like never before.